Hey guys, welcome back to Release the Craftin. Priscilla here for the first day of Poevember. Can you believe it? It is another year of Poevember, and we are here, and we are creating, and we are doing so many fun things already. I know it is day one, but I am so hyped, you guys. You can't even imagine. Despite all the trouble and stuff that I've had this year, I have been looking forward to this with every fiber of my being, and I'm just so happy that it's finally here, and we get to make and do stuff together. So I'm looking forward to it. A lot of you guys have already commented or reached out and said that you were participating this year, and I cannot wait. I am so excited. I decided to sort of ease myself in with this first one and not like overwhelm myself with anything too crazy. So I kept it pretty simple for today, but I'm going to try to like mix it up with some simple stuff, some more complicated stuff, and we're just going to have fun. We're going to play around. We're going to have a good time. We're going to enjoy the dark gothic spookiness. We're extending spooky season throughout the month of November. If you don't know, if you're just now joining me, this is your first Poevember with me, hello, not help. Words are really hard. But welcome to the channel. And Poevember is a month-long annual challenge that I host where we are inspired by my good buddy, my good friend, Edgar Allan Poe, to make some spooky, creepy crafts or have spooky, creepy things. It's a really flexible challenge. People are making poetry. I've seen digital photography already. I've seen some photo manipulation, collages, digital stuff. There's just lots of cool things you could do outside of the junk journal space. So if you're not a junk journaler and you're like, oh, I'm not sure if this is for me, it's actually for you. This challenge is absolutely for you because we're here to have fun and do spooky crafty things with a spooky crafty guy and spooky crafty poetry and things like that. So definitely, I will link last year's Poevember in the description box so you can check that out and see what people made last year if you need some inspiration. And then I'll also link the playlist for this year's Poevember because as people post their videos, I will add it to that playlist so that you can see my videos and the videos of everybody else who is participating in this year's challenge. And we can all inspire each other and just have a good time creating. As per usual, on the first day of a poem segment, I am going to read to you the poem that we are going to be inspired by for the next 5 days, and then we're going to see what I make. And yeah, without further ado, because I've already been talking for 2 minutes, we're going to jump into it. But again, hashtag Poevember25 if you want to follow along to all the good stuff that we've got going on and see what everybody else is making here and on Instagram, because people are posting over there as well. Yeah, so let's get into it. The poem for this section is The Valley of Unrest. This was published in 1845. This is an Edgar Allan Poe poem. Again, just making sure I give credit where it is due. And here we go. I gotta put my spooky voice on, which is not very spooky when you sound like me, but it's pretty close. Once it smiled, a silent dell, where the people did not dwell. They had gone unto the wars, trusting to the mild-eyed stars, nightly from their azure towers to keep watch above the flowers, in the midst of which all day the red sunlight lazily lay. Now each visitor shall confess the sad valley's restlessness. Nothing there is motionless, nothing save the airs that brood over the magic solitude. Ah, by no wind are stirred those trees that palpitate like the chill seas around the misty Hebrides. Ah, by no wind those clouds are driven that wrestle through the unquiet heaven, uneasily from morn till even, over the violets there that lie in myriad types of the human eye, over the lilies there that wave and weep above a nameless grave. They wave from out their fragrant tops, eternal dews come down in drops. They weep from off their delicate stems, perennial tears descend in gems. And that, you guys, is The Valley of Unrest, which is actually a very sad poem about soldiers being like left in nameless graves in a valley, and how like that leaves an impact, and we have to deal with the grief of loss after things like war and all those bloody battles. It's actually a very sad poem about how nothing is left behind to sort of mourn these fallen soldiers except for the flowers that grow on top of their grave and the wind that sort of goes through the valley. And it's actually really beautiful, and I actually love this poem so much. So when I was looking up poems this year to pick stuff to do, I picked some stuff that I thought was funny, and I picked some stuff that I thought would be like, you know, just delightful to work with. But this one I picked because it was just, you know, really appropriate and considering that this is in the month of November, and in America we have Veterans Day this month, it just seemed like it was appropriate to pick this poem for the month. If I had been more organized, I would have made sure that it came out in the segment that covers Veterans Day, but I didn't. But here we are. So the prompt for today, for day one, is silence. And I had to think about how I was going to visually represent silence, which is tricky. I think that's like the fun part of doing these prompts, is because the prompt words themselves are a little bit like obscure or obtuse if you're being very literal. And I have a tendency to be pretty literal when I'm not being melodramatic and figurative. So I spent a really long time being like, how are you going to demonstrate silence in a prompt? And I started looking at the stuff I had in the kit, because I'm working with the kit that I made this year. If you have not seen it already, I showed it in the announcement video if you want to see the full flip through, but it's also available on my Etsy store, shameless self-promotion part over. But I started looking through the kit, and I found this image, which was actually really inspired by the fall of the House of Usher. And I started thinking about how, like, this house is sort of dormant and silent, and the statue is silent, so that's sort of the visual representation I was going for. And then I have this card that I got in a Sticky Club unboxing actually a while ago, that I've been hoarding for myself because it's such a nice card of these spooky disembodied hands and this candelabra, and it's just so delightful that I was like, okay, you've been sitting on this forever. This is a Gothic spooky challenge. Why don't you use this Gothic spooky thing that you have no intention of putting in anything else, because you're just sitting on it, you're hoarding it. So I did this little pop-up, which flips out. There is a way to like do this pop-up so that you can make the card open as well, which I did in my autumn mini album for one of the pages in there. But I didn't want this card to open, because if it opens, then you won't be able to see the front. It'll just be automatically open, and that would defeat the entire purpose of keeping it this way. Now, did it occur to me after the fact that I could have folded the card the other way around and had it pop out that way and open? Yes. Yes, it did. But what's done is done. We did the thing. I still like it. I like that there's like an extra feature of interactivity by having to get up and, like, you know, fold open the card yourself. Like, that's totally cool. But something about these spooky ghosty hands, like lighting a candle, sort of like clicked in my brain as like something you could do in the silence in the middle of the night when you're walking through the house. And, you know, you gotta light your spooky candle so that you can, you know, walk through your Victorian mansion. That's kind of where my brain was. And then I have this quietus word, which obviously is another way to say silent, from my Gothic word kit. So I used that to make just a little tiny cluster up at the top. And then I added another silent creature to our silence sort of spread here, which was a moth. So I turned this little pocket into a pocket. I used it exactly as it was intended to be used. And just made a little pocket to hold another candle card, which you'll see when we get to it, when I get to that point. I take one of the tags and I cut them down to size in the kit, because it was also holding a candle, and it just seemed very appropriate and very on theme for, like, the silence of a candle in the dark. So that's kind of where I was going. That was my thoughts and my feelings. And like I said, I'm just trying to keep it a little bit simple. I wasn't trying to do anything crazy, because I am still, like, recovering, and I don't want to overwhelm myself. I do want to put out as many videos as possible for this challenge, so I have to sort of find happy mediums and balances where I can, which means pulling back a little bit on how over the top I get, because last year I went hard for, like, every single day, and as rewarding as that was, it was also exhausting. So I'm not looking to do that to myself again, but here's me testing out the mechanisms and stuff to make sure that I didn't, like, fluff it all up by adding a pocket to this, because I want to make sure. I have a tendency to add first and then check later, and then realize that my addition has made things worse. So I'm trying to be better about that and not being all, like, gung-ho into it. But yeah, so we're using the tag from this kit, which I love this little trio of tags. I don't know, there's something very delightful and atmospheric, but also very individual about those tags. Like, they're all different tags, but they all work together with the kit, but, like, you could use them individually in different projects for different sort of things. They all have different vibes, so I don't know. I just really love this tag sheet from the kit. So I did have to cut it down to make it fit, because I didn't want to interrupt the mechanism by having a tag that was too big in that spot. And then it's already on a cardstock, but the cardstock was a little bit thin for, like, my preferences, so I just double backed it. It's fine. For whatever reason, it works for everything else, but for tags it makes me feel like they're not as sturdy as I want them to be. So I backed it. I made it a little bit stronger, and we're just going to ink it up, and then we're going to get it in that pocket, and you're going to see at the end here, we're approaching it pretty quickly how everything looks all together, and I'm really happy with how it came out. It's like a simple spread, but it works. Like, everything kind of comes together and works really well, so I'm really happy with how it looks. I put it in the book, and that's it. That's how it looks inside. I'm going to decorate the other pages. Don't worry, guys, that's coming. I just don't want to do everything all in one day. But definitely come back for the next one and follow the hashtag Poevember25 and see what everybody else is making. Until then, guys, happy crafting. Stay spooky, my friends. Bye. Also, I appreciate your faces.